Sir, my mommy disappeared after her blind date. One single dad braved the snow to find her. Ryan Mitchell knelt in the snowy parking lot of the Christmas market, his heart sinking as he looked into the tear-filled eyes of a little girl who could not have been more than 6 years old. She wore a pink puffy jacket and clutched a small stuffed elephant like it was her only comfort in the world. "Sir," the child said again, her voice trembling, "my mommy disappeared after her blind date and she never came back for us." Ryan was 38 years old, a single father himself with 2 daughters, 7-year-old Katie and 5-year-old Emma. They had come to the Christmas market on this snowy December evening to see the lights and drink hot chocolate. It was their tradition, one he had started after his wife left them 3 years ago. He looked around the crowded market, searching for an adult who might be looking for this lost child. But everyone seemed focused on their own families, their own holiday shopping, their own warm conversations. Snow fell steadily, coating everything in white. "What is your name, sweetheart?" Ryan asked gently, crouching down to her level. "Lily," she whispered. "And that is my sister Zoe." She pointed to another little girl standing nearby, maybe 4 years old, wearing a purple coat and holding her own stuffed animal. The smaller girl looked even more frightened. Ryan felt something twist in his chest. 2 little girls, alone in the cold, their mother missing. He knew that terror. He knew what it felt like when the person who was supposed to protect you was not there. "Okay, Lily, I am Ryan. These are my daughters, Katie and Emma. We are going to help you find your mommy. Can you tell me what happened?" Lily sniffled and wiped her nose with her mitten. "Mommy said she had to meet someone, a man from the computer. She said it was just for coffee and she would be back in 20 minutes. She told us to wait by the big Coke sign and not move. But she has been gone for a really long time and she is not answering her phone." Ryan's jaw tightened. A blind date. This woman had left her 2 young daughters alone in a crowded Christmas market to go on a blind date. His first instinct was anger. What kind of mother does that? But then he caught himself. He had learned over the past 3 years not to judge too quickly. People made mistakes. People got desperate. Single parents especially. Maybe she thought 20 minutes would be okay. Maybe she had no one to watch her kids. Maybe she was just trying to find a little happiness in a hard life. "Do you know where your mommy went?" Ryan asked. Lily shook her head. "She just said she would be at the coffee place. There were at least 4 coffee shops around the Christmas market." Ryan looked at his own daughters. Katie was holding Emma's hand, both of them watching with wide eyes. "Daddy, we need to help them," Katie said quietly. Even at 7, she understood what it meant to miss a parent. Ryan nodded. He pulled out his phone and checked the time. It was already past 7 in the evening. The temperature was dropping. These little girls had been waiting in the cold, alone and scared. "Listen, girls," Ryan said to all 4 children. "We are going to find Lily and Zoe's mommy, but we need to stay together and stay warm, okay?" He bought hot chocolate for all 4 girls and then began the search. They walked through the market, checking each coffee shop. Ryan held Lily's hand while Katie held Zoe's hand, and Emma walked close beside them. They looked like one big family moving through the snow. At the first coffee shop, no luck. The second, nothing. At the third shop, the barista remembered seeing a woman matching the description Lily gave, but she had left with a man about an hour ago. Ryan felt his concern growing into genuine worry. Had something happened to this woman? Had the blind date gone wrong? Was she in danger? He was about to call the police when Lily suddenly pulled on his coat. "Sir, I remember now. Mommy said something about the place with the red lights. The warm place, red lights, the warm place." Ryan thought for a moment, then remembered the small wine bar at the edge of the market. It had red string lights and a fireplace visible through the windows. They hurried through the falling snow, 6 people now joined by circumstance and compassion. When they reached the wine bar, Ryan peered through the frosted window. There, at a corner table, sat a woman who looked to be in her mid-30s with shoulder-length brown hair. She was crying while a man across from her gesticulated angrily even from outside. Ryan could see this was not a romantic date. This was an argument. "Is that your mommy?" Ryan asked Lily. Lily pressed her face against the glass and nodded, fresh tears streaming down her cheeks. "Yes. That is Mommy." And that is my daddy. The pieces fell into place. This was not a romantic blind date. This was a custody meeting. This woman had not abandoned her children for romance. She had been trying to have a conversation with their father, a conversation that had clearly gone very wrong. Ryan understood now. He understood the desperation. He understood why she might have thought she could step away for just 20 minutes to try to work something out. He understood because he had been there himself, trying to navigate co-parenting with someone who made everything difficult. He opened the door to the wine bar and walked in with all 4 girls. The woman looked up, her eyes going wide with horror when she saw her daughters. Lily? Zoe? Oh my God! She jumped up from the table, nearly knocking Ng over her chair. I am so sorry. I am so sorry, babies. She ran to them and dropped to her knees, pulling both girls into her arms. They clung to her, crying. The man at the table stood up, his face red. This is exactly what I am talking about, Amanda. You are irresponsible. You left them alone. You are not fit to have custody. Amanda looked up at him, her eyes blazing through her tears. I was gone for 45 minutes, Derek. I told them where to wait. I called them 3 times, but my phone died. I was about to leave, but you would not stop yelling at me about the custody agreement. You should have never brought them here in the first place, Derek shot back. Ryan stepped forward. He had stayed quiet until now, but he could not anymore. With all due respect, sir, she made a mistake. But your daughters are safe. They are cold and scared, but they are safe. And right now, they need to see their parents working together, not fighting. Derek turned his glare on Ryan. Who are you? I am the person who spent the last hour searching through a snowstorm with your daughters because they were terrified. I am a single father who understands how hard this is. And I am telling you that whatever problems you two have, those little girls should not be caught in the middle of it. The wine bar had gone quiet. Other patrons were watching now. Derek looked around, then back at his daughters, who were still clutching their mother. Something in his face softened, just slightly. You are right, he said quietly. You are right. I am sorry, girls. Daddy is sorry. Amanda stood up, holding both her daughters' hands. Thank you, she said to Ryan, her voice thick with emotion. Thank you so much. I do not know what would have happened if you had not helped them. Anyone would have done the same, Ryan said, though he knew that was not entirely true. Many people would have walked past. 2 scared little girls in a Christmas market. No, Amanda said firmly. Not everyone would have spent their evenings searching through the snow for a stranger. Not everyone would have bought my girls hot chocolate and held their hands and made them feel safe. You did that. You and your daughters. She looked at Katie and Emma, who stood on either side of their father. Thank you, girls, for being so kind to my daughters. Katie smiled. Our daddy always says we should help people when they need it. Over the following weeks, Ryan thought often about that snowy night. About how quickly judgment had turned to understanding, about how what seemed like neglect was actually just a desperate parent trying to navigate an impossible situation. Amanda called him a few days after Christmas to thank him again. They met for coffee, this time with all the children playing together at an indoor playground. She explained that Derek had agreed to mediation instead of a court battle. She said that Ryan's words that night had made Derek realize they were hurting their children. Ryan told her about his own divorce, about the loneliness of single parenting, about the judgment he sometimes felt from others who did not understand. They became friends, not romantic partners, but genuine friends who understood each other's struggles. Their daughters became friends too. And sometimes, on difficult days, they would meet at the park, or the library, or the pizza place. And it felt a little less lonely. Ryan learned something important that snowy December night. He learned that we all struggle, we all make mistakes, we all do our best with what we have. And sometimes the greatest gift we can give someone is not judgment, but compassion, not criticism, but help, not condemnation, but grace. Years later, when his daughters were grown, Katie would tell people about the night her father taught her the most important lesson of her life. Not through words, but through action. The lesson that when you see someone struggling, you do not walk past. You stop. You help. You show up in the snow. Because that is what good people do. That is what community means. That is how we survive the winters of our lives, by being there for each other when it matters most. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that we are all struggling with something, Please like, share, and subscribe for more stories about compassion and human connection. Comment below about a time when a stranger helped you when you needed it most. Your stories inspire us all. Thank you for listening.